Hey, peace, love, harmony, and light. This is Chief Kalanago with another video. As you know, videos are strictly for educational purposes, the awakening of the indigenous people around the world. And I love to make this disclaimer. Yes, videos are always for indigenous peoples. However, I have a special message for the autochthon American Aborigines, aka American Indians, because I always believe that we have to take care of home before we could take care of anybody else's home. With that being said, I really would like you guys to pay attention to this message. Like any other video, I always come in truth, always come with light. And we are living in some times today where people seem to be taking advantage of the vulnerability of indigenous people, more so the autochthon American Aborigine, aka American Indian. Now, I know that indigenous is a broad term. I mean, if you look at UNDRIP, the United Nations Declarations on the Rights of Indigenous People, they don't have a clear definition of what they really want to say indigenous is. So it's kind of like a general statement. However, even if I am indigenous to the entire planet, even more so indigenous to the American continent, I kind of like make a further statement or a public notice that I am not just indigenous to the Americas, I am an autochthon American Aborigine. What does that mean? Autochthon, an Aborigine or inhabitant of a certain landmass, meaning that this is the part of the world that my ancestors sprung from. In essence, I'm saying that my ancestors didn't come from any other part of the world. Immediately, my immediate ancestors, what I mean by that is when my ancestors manifest from the spiritual realm or the mental realm, if I may, the first place they came was in the landmass called, or on the landmass called the Americas. So, therefore, if my ancestors have been here from time immemorial, it means that this is my birthright. This land belonged to the heir of the heir, and I am the heir of the heir, meaning that I am the ascendant of those who came before me. So therefore, I am the original steward of the landmass called the Americas. And anything that came after, or anyone who came after, is a guest in my home. Now, it was important for me to do this video tonight because I ran across an article that speaks of sovereign citizens. And I want to make it very clear that I'm speaking for myself and our nation, the nation that I'm a chief of, okay? Autochthon American Aborigine People Nation, AAPN. We are not a sovereign group, okay? We are not considered a sovereign movement. We are not Moors, we are not black, we are not African American, and we are not Moorish Americans. We are the original Americans. Now, I have to make sure that that message is clear. And it's not just a message, but it's also a public announcement because the federal government is cracking down on organizations that are claiming to be sovereigns. Now they have those people on a terrorist watch, also so called black people on a terrorist watch. You see, if y'all don't want to wake up to the true knowledge of what I'm kicking, then a lot of you are going to learn the hard way. And that is just facts. And the reason why I want to make it very clear that we are not a sovereign group, and I'm going to explain what I mean by that, is because I don't want it to be construed as us claiming that we are sovereign. Now, Being the autochthon American Aborigines, aka American Indians, we have certain rights that we have always had, certain creator given rights. We have always lived our lives by the laws of the universe, by the laws of nature. Those are the laws we adhere to, and we have always had those laws. Now, some of the rights that we have, it may seem as if they are the same rights or principles that the sovereign movement or the Moors or the Moorish movements are claiming or proclaiming. You see, a lot of the information may seem similar. As a matter of fact, it is similar. However, the sovereign group, Moors and all Moorish Americans, they are citizens. They are immigrants in my land. And that is the difference. You see, I want to break down the difference of sovereign, a Moor, or Moorish American, and an autochthon American Aborigine, aka American Indian. Now, when you say you're a sovereign, it raises some type of alert, okay, where you will be classified as a terrorist when you are when you say you are a Moor or Moorish American. You have certain privileges because you are a citizen of the United States, an immigrant in my land, and you have certain privileges. But because a lot of these organizations or these people, they tend to want to not just use their privileges but step into the realm of having rights, then that's when they get in trouble. You see them getting arrested in videos, you see their windows getting busted. It is because they are citizens trying to rise against their owners, so to speak, because they are considered property. But they have certain privileges that they are allowed to have. On the other hand, when you speak of an autochthon American Aborigine, aka American Indian, we don't really deal with the privileges as such because everything that in our nature of who we are, it automatically gives us those privileges, but more so it gives us rights that we have only because this is our land. We have been here. So I realized that the FBI is literally cracking down on these sovereign groups. And you have Moors and Moorish, or Moorish Americans screaming that they're sovereign. And a lot of our people are getting caught up in that trap. They're getting caught up in that trap. Now, family, I know a lot of times, a lot of you, it feels like you're lost. You're seeking information, and a lot of the information sounds similar. As a matter of fact, a lot of the information may be the same. However, a certain group of people have rights and others have privileges. Now, I could only speak for myself. Again, I am not black. I am not African American. I am not a Moor or Moorish American. And I am not a sovereign citizen. I am a chief of a nation, and our nation members are not any of those aforementioned. Again, we are autochthon American Aborigines, aka American Indians. So therefore, this is our home, this is our land. And any one of our guests that we have invited in our home with open arms, they owe us an obligation to respect us and deal with us from a government to government basis. Congress does acknowledges that. If you look at House of Congress Resolution 331 H.con.res, House of Congress Resolution 331, it clearly states that my ancestors wrote and formed the Constitution, and Congress acknowledges that. And they have an obligation to treat me and our nation members on a government to government basis. So essentially, what we are saying is that we are not US citizens, and no one could force us to be US citizens. You see, the United States was created on my land. It is not the other way around. Our nation is a nation in the Americas, not in the United States. The United States was formed and created on our land. As a matter of fact, my ancestors were the ones who helped create the United States. And let us not forget that the United States is only a 10-mile radius of land or area or circumference, whatever you want to call it, within the District of Columbia. So I have to make that very clear because you see, this is a notice to agents, the principal, because a notice to the agent is a notice to the principal. A notice to the principal is a notice to the agent. I think that it's important that you guys teach your agents the difference between an autochthon American Aborigine, aka an American Indian, and the so called sovereign citizens or sovereign people or Moors or Moorish Americans. That's not us. So it's very important that they school you guys about the difference because we don't want you guys disrespecting us in the streets, in our home, and we don't want you guys violating our rights. So we have to make that very clear. Now, everybody has a right to call themselves what they want. Now, whatever the consequences may be, they're going to have to deal with that. But when it comes to us, again, the people they call the American Indians, it has to be known that we have rights in our home. This is our home. And when we invite guests into our home, they have to acknowledge us as the rightful heir or rightful stewards of this landmass called America. It is very disrespectful to come into a man's home or a woman's home and tell them what to do. And that's not what we're not going to have that. We're not going to allow that. Now, I digress. Although very, I'm stern in what I'm saying because it's a fact. However, we always come with peace, love, harmony, and light. That is the nature of my ancestors. But we are not going to allow people to take advantage of us. We are not going to allow that. So, with that being said, there is a thin line between those people that I mentioned and who we are. And I think that needs to be clarified. So family, be very careful. Be very mindful. You see, there are a lot of people running around because you are vulnerable. Sometimes you may be afraid that these people take advantage of your weakness. They take advantage of your vulnerability and they look at it as a come up. So everybody's telling you, well, hey, you know what? I know the answer. I could do this for you. I could create these documents for you. They are peddling paperwork. Now, again, anyone, and this is again another warning, anyone who says that they could get you paperwork and uses me as a reference, please, I didn't give anybody permission to use my name as a reference to do paperwork for anybody. I don't peddle paperwork. I don't do that. So once again, if anyone uses my name or my title, because I don't have a name, but my title, Chief Kalinago Flying Eagle or Chief Kalinago, and says that they are using me as a reference to do paperwork, any kind of paperwork, then that's not true. It didn't come from me. Okay? Please remember that. If you have any type of dealing or any information or any type of service that you request of me, Where my title is being used, please send me an email and I will deal with it myself. I didn't send anybody to represent me. Again, I don't peddle paperwork. You see, the sovereign movement, the Moors or Moorish Americans, they say that we don't need a driver's license to travel. That is true. But you see, when you are a citizen, certain privileges you have and certain privileges can be taken away. So if they so choose, they could take that privilege away from you. Now, here's the difference. I am an autochthon American Aborigine, aka American Indian. That doesn't apply to me because before the United States was formed on my land, I was able to travel my land without a license. So therefore, I don't need a license. So you see, the FBI needs to know the difference. And I'm certainly sure they do. But I'm just making it clear. I'm actually putting it out there in public right now. Their agents and the agencies need to know the difference between someone who's calling themselves sovereign and somebody who has been on this landmass from time immemorial. My ancestors never needed a license to travel their own land. So therefore, I don't need a license to travel my land. Again, you are a guest in my home, and I would like you to honor and respect the ways, mannerisms, ideologies, and culture of my people. So please, your statutes and codes and ordinances that the United States it has, it doesn't apply to us. Again, it may sound like what these people are doing, but it's not the same because we are not the same. You cannot take a right and turn it into a privilege and charge for that. You can't do that. That's unlawful. You see, there's a difference between the legal system and the lawful system. We do have laws. When you came, you met us with laws. So, yes, you have a right to deal with your citizens the way you want to deal with your citizens. They are your property. But I am not your property. Our nation members are not your property. So again, in our culture, it is very rude. It is not polite to come into my home and force me to do what you want me to do, to force me to your system or way of life, to force me to accept your ideologies. And if you look at UNDRIP, United Nations Declarations on the Rights of Indigenous People, also the American Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People that was adopted in June 2016, it states that you cannot force me to assimilate. Again, you are violating international law. So I'm saying, please know the difference and teach your agents the difference so that when you run into my people in the streets, they don't get disrespected or end up losing their life because of your ignorance, because ignorance of the law is no excuse. You see, it goes both ways. So you and your agents need to know the law and the rights that we have as the American Aborigines, aka American Indians who are indigenous to the Americas. I think that someone would say, it's safe to say that people have nerves to come into someone's home and tell them what to do, force them to pay rent, force them to buy food, tell them they can't grow food in their own yard, tell them they have to pay your taxes. And you people say that those are some of the red flags to recognize the sovereign groups. Yes, maybe the sovereign groups, but not the American Aborigines, because we are not supposed to pay any taxes in our land. How dare you come into my land and tell me that I have to pay you for living in my land? That's an oxymoron. It doesn't add up. So again, please teach your agents the difference between a Talkton American Aborigine, aka American Indian, and the people that you deemed terrorists. Again, ignorance of the law is no excuse. And your officers, okay, are going to be held accountable if they violate those rights. And your agents, they're going to be held accountable. I believe that what my ancestors stood for, that we knew that the world have always looked towards the American Indians, aka American Indians, American Aborigines. They have always looked to us as a beacon of hope. So when you foreigners came to our land, we opened up our shores and we welcomed you. You wanted some land, some food. Your ship got wrecked. We fixed it. We cured your diseases. And now you are in our home making an attempt and trying to make us immigrants in our home, foreigners in our home, guests in our home. You see, that's immoral. That's unlawful. And we are not going to stand for that. Now, once again, we cannot tell you what to do with your citizens. Well, in a sense, we can because we are not going to allow you to, abuse people on our land because, again, that would reflect on us. So we are asking that everyone be treated with respect. And we know that your citizens and your property, we know that they have privileges. But please do not infringe on our rights and turn our rights into privileges, especially privileges we have to pay for. We are not going to do that. We are not. Again, it's unlawful. And there are consequences for breaking the law. Once again, ignorance of the law is no excuse. It doesn't matter who is breaking the law. I don't care if it's the president breaking the law. Ignorance of the law is no excuse. So I just wanted to make this video and make it very clear that we are not a sovereign group. We are not Moors. We are not Moorish Americans. We are autochthon American Aborigines, aka American Indians, who have been on this landmass from time immemorial. And you guys are guests in our home. And a guest should always respect the people, homes that they came to. You cannot come into my home and tell me I cannot eat what's in my refrigerator. I have to pay for it first. You cannot come into my home and tell me I cannot sleep on my bed unless I pay you. You see, that has to stop. And we are not going to stand for that anymore. For those of us who know who we are stepping up in our rightful place. So family, please be very mindful of the things that you proclaim. Be very mindful of the places that you get your information. Be very mindful of the people you got peddling paperwork and doing paperwork for you. Be very mindful. I keep telling y'all, nothing in life is free. Nothing. You see, I believe that if you are righteous, you will always do the right thing. A lot of people don't have integrity. They have no morals. They love taking advantage of people's weaknesses, their vulnerability, because they're looking for a come up, selling their people for 10 pieces of silver. You know, it's ironic that, one of our nation members asked me earlier today. She said, Chief, what makes you happy? If I were to get you a gift, what would I get, Chief? Because you do so much for the people. And I had to think about that long and hard because I couldn't think of anything else but say, what makes me happy is to see my people happy. Is to know that my people are getting the information, getting the knowledge, and they are actually applying the knowledge. That's what makes me happy. And she smiled. She said, wow. Wow. That's all she could have said, because you see, it's not about me. What makes me happy is to know that you are getting this information and you are applying the information. You are implementing the information in your life. That's what brings me joy. I cannot tell you the last time I did something for me, myself, Chief Kalanago. I cannot tell you the last time I did that. However, every day I'm constantly thinking of you, my people. Every single day. I know I have found my purpose and I am living my purpose. And I will continue to live that purpose until that physical breath is gone from me. I am not afraid. I have no fear. What's there to fear? Right? The only thing they taught us to be afraid of doesn't exist, which is death. There's no such thing as death. We just pass on, we move on, we transcend to the next realm. So at the end of the day, what are we afraid of? It is time that the American Aborigines, we stand up. The American Indians, we stand up. If your great-great-grandmother told you that you were an Indian, how is it that in 2017 going into 2018 you are black African American? How does that happen? How do you go from 3 generations back and you were an Indian, and then 3 generations forward, all of a sudden you change to black or African American? You have made yourself stateless or nationless, and you are proud of that, to be called property slaves, not knowing that you are not honoring your ancestors. Didn't they tell you to honor your mother and father so that your days could be longer? Why do you think your days are shortened? Because we are not honoring our ancestors. You have allowed a system to make you an immigrant in your own home, exiled in your own home. And you will not take the time, well, not everybody, but most of you will not take the time to learn and realize there is something wrong with that. You celebrate their Christmas, you put up their trees, you go spend your money on gifts, and you go into the next year doing the same cycle. New Year resolution. Look at the word resolution. Take out the re. What do you have? You have solution. So now you are doing the same solution, resolution, because what you have done hasn't worked. And every year you are doing the same resolution, the same thing, expecting a different result. It is called insanity, my brothers and sisters. Every year you keep making the same resolution, resolution. It's the same thing. And the solutions or the resolutions that you have done the previous year didn't work because you were still in the same situation. And then here you go doing the same thing again. A new year resolution, resolution, expecting a change. If you are a slave, nothing will change for you except the fact that you will always have a master. If you are black or African American, nothing will change for you because you will always remain nationless and stateless. So what is the point of making these resolutions and resolutions? It is pointless. Again, it seems that that's your culture, to keep you in a perpetual cycle of slavery. And the ones I feel sorry for are your children, because you are imposing your ignorance on them, because you refuse to change the mindset of our youth. Materialistic things, that's what you live for. But you will not pay for the knowledge. You would not pay for the proper guidance. You want that for free, but you want to spend all you have on everything else that's not going to elevate you. Nothing in life is for free. So with that being said, I'm going to end this video. And once again, the Autochthon American People Nation, AAPN, we are not a sovereign movement. We are not Moors. We are not Moorish. We are autochthon American Aborigines, aka American Indians. And we are the original people of this land. And we are stepping up to exercise our rights and ask that our guests, the foreigners who came to our shores, show some respect. So, with that being said, hope you guys have a good night. And once again, when you do your research, research the research. Also, research the researcher and do some in search and let the message resonate with you. Because sometimes things are not always what it seems. It may sound alike, it may look alike, but it's not the same. And once again, ignorance of the law is no excuse. And if they could tell you that, then it goes for them as well. So ignorance of the law, to all you agents, cops, all right, it's not an excuse. The judges, the so-called lawyers, ignorance of the law is no excuse. Learn it and respect it. And statutes and codes and ordinances are not laws, okay? That deals in commerce. I was on my land way before all these things came to my shore. So please acknowledge that and respect that. Once again, I come with peace, love, harmony, and light. I am the chief of a nation. I'm responsible for my people. And I'm going to stand for my people to make sure that their rights are not violated. Peace and love. The GoFundMe is in the link below, family. Please support the GoFundMe. Our website is also in the link below. If you want to be a part of what we are doing, check out the website, look at the application, and if you want to be a member of this movement, okay, of the Autochthon American Aborigines stepping up into their rightful place, restoring the culture of our ancestors, please join us. There is power in numbers. All right? United we stand, but divided we fall. I appreciate you guys. Peace and love.